Hello folks, how you doing? We're going to tie a Bulkhead Hollow. It looks quite complicated, an overdressed fly, but actually it's very simple and quick. You can substitute the jungle cock eyes with fake jungle cock, or you could just put normal eyes on it, but it's actually quicker just to add jungle cock. So you could, typically this is a saltwater fly, but as I'm fishing for pike most of the time, I'm going to use a freshwater hook. In this case I'm using an Arex Trout Predator 610-2-0. And thread as usual I'm just using GSP 100. A lot of bucktail ties tie with mono. I'm sure that's perfectly fine. I prefer GSP only because I've never tied with mono. I'm sure mono is great if I ever get to tie with it, but I've got a load of GSP to get through, so let me do that first, and then I might have a play with mono at some point. So we're going to add a bucktail tail just to support the ostrich. So I'm looking for the long fibres, which are typically near the base. I'm just going to take a selection, a small clump rather, and just remove those guard hairs, and make sure that hair is tapered properly. Now this is about a 6-inch fly, so I want to come to about here. Trim the butts and tie down, and then just use your thumb to push that bucktail around. I must have shown this 100 times in my other videos. And then tie those butt ends down, tidy them up. Now we're going to use ostrich. Now I use a big plume here. You can get this from feather merchants. I wouldn't buy them from fly tying outlets because you won't get much. You'll get better value if you go and search for it elsewhere. So I'm taking a healthy bunch of an ostrich here, just checking there's no short broken ones in there. There's one or two. I'm just going to pull those out. And I'm just going to taper the ends, make sure that they're not straight. Give a nice flow like that. I'm just checking the length. That's about right. Just tidy up those butt ends. And I'm just going to wrap this round and tie down, making sure that's a nice even coverage. Looks good. Bring your thread forward, and we're coming again with a white. And we're going to hollow tie. Now this tail is got very hollow fibres all the way up, so I can, I've got a lot of tail to work with here, which is great. I tend to look for tails with plenty of air in them, but it's good to have a mixture of tails if you can. I tend to avoid the really super straight ones that don't have a lot of air because they're not much good for the types of flies that I tie. Now, trim the butts. Now you could add glue here. I'm going to add some glue. Sometimes I forget. Here we go. So we're going to hollow tie this one. Come to about there. A few wraps over the top, secure it, and just use your thumb to manipulate that round, like so. Hold your butts, pull tight, secure, and then use your push tool to make sure that bucktail is evenly pushed back. If you get any folded ones, just make sure they go in the right way. To be honest, I could probably get away with using a push tool, but it's habit. So I want to build a dam in front of this. To make sure that bucktail lays the way we want it to. About like that, it's fine. We can use wing and flash just a little bit. can use as much as you want. I'm just want a little bit of sparkle to this fly, not too much. You could use polar flash if you wanted to as well, which is a little bit more durable than wing and flash, but you know, flies don't last forever anyway. So we're going to come forward, and then we're going to put some more ostrich in. And I'm looking for sort of finer hairs now, which typically are towards the tip. So I'm going to just marry this up. And I'm just going to taper this around. Loose wraps. That looks pretty evenly distributed. I won't worry too much. I'm just going to use our push tool. Push that back. You can go over the top, or you could build a dam. I've gone over the top on this one, more by accident. Looks good. Now we're going to grab some tan bucktail and we're going to start building a bulkhead. Now I've got a few here, so I'm going to start with the longer hairs. So you can go, it's up to you what you want to do with the bulkhead. You can make it super bulky and quite dense, or you can go quite sparse. It's really up to you, and it requires some swim testing to see what you like. This is really this video just to give you an idea of the technique, and which I've used on most of my bulkheads. So again, what I'm doing with this, I'm just pulling the hairs through, because I don't like, personal preference, I don't like the straight edges there. I like it to be tapered at the butts as well, because it just, to me looks just nicer. So just make sure your thread's spun in, not flat. A few wraps over the top, and just push that bucktail around. That looks good. Like so. Secure it down, push back, and build a dam in front. Take a little bit more wing and flash. Don't need a super long amount, so I'm going to take some off there. Wrap it over the top. Like so. Now that's it for the ostrich. We're not adding any more ostrich now, we've got enough in there as it is. So what we're going to do now is come forward. Another bulkhead tying. I'm looking for the hair that's a little bit wavier and a bit more air in it. I'm just grabbing another tail. It's always worth having a few tails of the same colour, because they'll all be different, and just see which one you like. Now in terms of length, well, it's a little bit shorter, which is about right. It's a shorter tail. Okay, and I'm just pulling the hairs through to stagger those butts up. Now they're actually a bit too long, so I'm just going to trim them off a little bit shorter. And I'm going to do the same again. I'm just going to bring those butts through the hairs, just blend the hairs. It creates a nice taper on the butts then. few wraps over the top. There you go. Make sure it's distributed, tie down. There we go. Again, build a dam in front. I've left myself quite a lot of room here. That's fine. So you could probably come in with another one if you wanted to. But I'm not gonna, I'm just gonna. Right, for the next tying, I'm gonna use some, try and find a colour a darker tan, and I don't have any, so I'm just going to use the tops of a tan to darken it up a bit. I'm just going to again just get rid of those guard hairs. That's about right. And I want that one slightly longer. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to tie in front. I'm just going to wrap that round like that. Make sure it's secured down. Like so. Now I'm going to grab some peacock. Actually, not what I'm going to do first is I'm going to grab some more tan. Now, because I've got quite a lot of space underneath here, what I'd usually do is just tie a hollow. But I'm going to tie another bulkhead underneath. Can you hear any background noise? My son is yelling for some reason. 20. There you go, I'm just going to tie it like that. So I want about that length. And I'm just going to take a little bit off. There we go. I'm going to come forward, tie it down, spread that out. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab some peacock. Fair amount, make sure they're tapered. It's not the best peacock in the world, this one, I'm getting a bit low. And I want it to be about here. So I'm just going to reverse tie it. And just trim the butt ends, like so. And get a push tool. And then also that material back. Making sure that it's very even on the bucktail underneath. And then we're just going to build a little dam in front, just to force that material back. Like so, looks good. Have a quick look, make sure I haven't got any wild ones. And looks straight. And that peacock will settle down once we've given it a soak. And lastly, to finish off, we're going to add some real jungle cock. Now, as I said at the beginning, you can substitute this with fake jungle cock, or you could just add eyes. It's up to you. So I'm going to take a couple of nails, sort of medium-sized nails. And what I like to do with these is just take the hairs off and sort of reverse tie them in. So I'm going to do this side first. And try and get those feathers as straight as possible without catching the bucktail. give it the stems a trim off, then tie it down. And do the other one. And look at the size, make sure it's the same size. A little bit fiddly. And if you can't find the stem, which I can't, I'm just going to leave it on there because I can't see it. These are my flies anyway. Then tie it down. There we go, make sure they're straight and the peacock isn't covering. There we go. And then won't finish. And what you do, you just add a bit of head cement. You can always colour that thread if you really wanted to. You can shape these. Actually, I'm going to take that one out because that's a wild one and it's going everywhere. There we go. Now what I tend to do is just bathe this in water, let it soak, and it will end up looking like that. Just nice profile. You can see it's got a nice round profile. That's the bulkhead. That's the bulkhead tying of the bucktail. Yeah, you get a lovely shape to these. I should fish them more. They're lovely looking flies, and they do swim good. So hopefully you'll agree that was a pretty simple fly to tie. As I said, just get yourself plenty of bucktail, and just, you know, it's always worth, don't be obsessed with super long bucktail. Look for bucktail that's got a bit of wave to it, some air to it, and it'll allow you to do a lot of things. There's no long bucktail in this, apart from maybe a little bit in the tail, but that's not super long. That's about 4.5 inches, which is pretty standard, especially if you live in the States. Over here it's classed as long. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Thank you. Bye.